Hello and welcome to Car Mechanics Sim 2021. Now, I've been wanting to play this game for a very, very long time. Being a car mechanic, um, I like these kind of car mechanic simulator games. They do annoy me a little bit, I will say that. But, yeah, um, hope this is kind of insightful on people that play this game. Having Now, I don't know everything about car mechanics. There's certain things I'm not going to know, and certain things that I will know a lot about. Uh, I'm an old school mechanic. You know, I'm a shade tree mechanic. It's not often that I have a garage workspace like in this game to be able to work on cars and stuff like that. I just kind of have to work on them. Sometimes I have a garage space, like this will go hand in hand with the um, project that I got going on right now with an old Chevy Silverado. I've got the engine completely torn apart uh, right now. So working on that, and yeah, so we will be playing this game, and obviously I will be commenting on it to kind of tell you what's more realistic um, in this game and what's not realistic. There's certain things in this game that absolutely annoy me because you wouldn't do that. Those type of deals. You wouldn't do that. I think for this playthrough, we will be playing as the kind of mechanic that orders brand new parts. The reason is because that's how you make money in a real world mechanic shop. Uh, you figure out what's wrong with the car, you diagnose the problems, you come up with a solution to fix all of the problems with the least amount of parts possible. Um, Sometimes that's not always, sometimes each symptom is its own part. But yeah, um, you try to figure out how many parts, or try to figure out the fix to all the problems that the car has with the least amount of parts possible. You don't fire the parts cannon. I'm not a parts cannon type of mechanic. If you don't know what that means, a parts cannon mechanic, firing the parts cannon. A lot of mechanics do this, unfortunately. Give the rest of us mechanics a bad name. There's car mechanics out there that they'll look at a symptom of the car and go, it must be this, and they'll go and buy the brand new part. Sometimes it fixes the problem, sometimes not. They'll just replace the part, send it out the door, and then the customer comes back angry, not able. The car's broken down again. Either the problem didn't get solved, or now there's a different problem, or problems that they had didn't get fixed, things like that. I hate those kind of mechanics. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into this before I go on to a massive rant. My controller is plugged in, but I guess we're playing keyboard because the controller does nothing. Oh, we got a nice little tow truck over here. Unity tow truck, looks like. Actually, this is it's a Unity tow truck. It's from the Unity store. I've seen this in a few other Unity games. So single axle. So this tow truck right here wouldn't be able to carry anything outside of a SUV. Small pickups and cars and stuff. Looks to be modeled after a Ford. Ford did this. These old Fords did this with their front grille. Definitely an old Ford, probably F350 or something to that effect. And obviously this was a crew cab pickup. Big old crew cab pickup, and then they took off the crew cab part of it and made it into a rollback style dump truck or dump truck tow truck. Let's see, got a telephone booth. I have been drinking some delicious stuff, so expect a little bit of tomfoolery to go on. Looks like I got a little skid steer going on. Interesting. Got an old factory? Can I open this? No. I'm just exploring around. I want to see what we got going on. Okay. Yeah, I played Car Mechanics before, or Car Mechanic games before, from this developer. This developer does a good job with it. There's just certain things that annoy the crap out of me, so. Little forklift. That forklift doesn't go very high, that's sad. I have played this game before, quite a while ago. I don't have all the DLCs, unfortunately, either. I did get the, hey, we're on the historic Route 66, very nice. So it is an American-style gas station. Full service repairs, fluids, brakes, engine, transmission, snacks, and Wi-Fi. I don't know if we got snacks or Wi-Fi because I believe this part of the gas station is completely closed down. It says open. ATM inside. You can kind of see in there a little bit. Drum disc brake service. Not anymore. This is obviously an old shop. Most mechanics that work on drum brakes, unless they have a machine that can do it, me personally, I would just replace the drums. It's just easier than to mess with drum brakes. I absolutely hate drum brakes as well. How do I get in this place? Also notice that this is definitely a Unity thing. The sound that when I walk, that's also on Phasmo too, and it's a Unity. I think it's a Unity store. How do I get in this place? Hello? Let me in? I want to work on cars. I don't have the keys. Can I get in here? No. Hello? It's been... I played this game when it first came out for a little while. After it first came out, and then kind of just loved it. Went on to other stuff. Do not block garage gate. Yes, please. Uh-oh. How do I... E? F? R? Yeah. What am I supposed to be doing? E, F? No, we don't get in the tow truck? Oh, fuck. Am I just stupid? Oh, found my inventory. Is that tab? No, that's shopping list. How do we get into the game? Can I not get into my shop? Is expert mode broken? We're playing in expert mode, by the way. Being a car mechanic, I should be able to figure my way through the... Why can't I get into my expert mode? It's so expert that I cannot get into my own shop. Was I supposed to do something before going in here? Settings, controls. Accept, return. Nope. Enter. Nope. It's none of that. Can I not? We have an order, but I can't accept it because I don't know how to get into my own shop. Tutorial. So this is our tutorial for opening the door. Orders, tire change, lifter, shocks. Junkyard barns, auctions, parking, pie menu. Yeah, I know how to use the pie menu. That's not what I wanted though. See, I need to get in here, but I don't know how to get in here. Do I have to repair stuff outside? Is that... I have to repair stuff outside until I unlock the actual place. Can I go in here? Nope. Yes. Take order? Uh-oh. What happened? Did I break the game? Aha! Okay. Move the car. Car lifter A. Aha! Can you not get in and out of your shop? Why can't I... Okay, so that's how I interact with stuff. Open door. Gosh, it's been so long. Left click. Got it. I'm such a fucking idiot, man. Left click, really? Every other game is like, use door, E. Or F. Fuck you. Seriously, man. Spent like 20 minutes trying to figure this shit out. Oh my gosh. This card needs a wash bad. Did you like leave this in your garage for like 20 years? Alright, what do you got for me? Okay. This music as well. Setting. Oh, thank God. I don't mind a bit of music, but jeez. What else do we got? Do we got a radio? Or is this like all in my head? Oh, radio? Change station. What do we got? What do we got? Argo Fox. Red, blue, green? Greatest hits. 69. Nice. Sure. Hopefully none of this is copyrighted. I'd be really mad. Okay. What do you got for us here? Hi. I was just passing by and I noticed your repair shop. It is good that somebody took care of that old ruined petrol station. You can tell these people are not from the US. The car that I am coming with today is quite recent. A quite recent purchase and is used on a daily basis, so it's a daily driver. Stop scrolling! I can't read that fast. Why can't I see this entire thing? Okay, it is used on a daily basis, so we know a daily driver. The condition is rather okay. I wouldn't agree with that. It was good to come and check the oil, or would be good to check the oil level in tires. Okay, we can do that easy enough. That should be no problem for you if you man it. This scrolling, not being able to scroll, is very, very irritating to me. that I cannot scroll through this and read it at my own pace. Okay, so this is a description from the customer. If you manage, then perhaps this won't be our last meeting. All right, so they're promising to return if we do a good job. Or press S and X. No. How do I add to shopping list? X? Is that what that noise is? Yep. I need 9 hoods for this Cadillac. Oh, also, I do have the mod on for there's a mod that I have on that I made. I partially made myself, we'll say that much. I didn't make it all myself, but most of the cars I went and looked up. Went and looked up a lot of these cars and what they look like because I recognized quite a lot of them in this game. So all these cars are named what they should be named. You can agree with me or not. Obviously, not all the cars look exactly like their real life counterparts, but I did my best, and some of them that I didn't know, I looked them up, see what other people came up with, and I just named them in the files. It's actually not that hard to do, so, you know, whatnot. Yeah, I wouldn't say this is a good condition. Everything's pretty rusty and dirty in here. Despite that, we will not tell the customer that they need to take better care of their vehicles. How do I rotate the camera again? How do I do any? Oh, I gotta rotate via the keys. Okay. All right. The drain tool. No, I want to check the fluid. Can I not? Okay. I guess we just fill it. All right. That's full. Okay. Has been a little while since I've played this. Yeah, it looks like the power steering needed filled. Actually, I probably shouldn't be messing with this too much. I just want to get it. This first one will be a little bit of a refresher on how to play this game. I know how to do all this. I just don't know how to play this game. Okay, so they want a brake job. They didn't say that in any of their thing. They just said they wanted it. They just wanted the fluids. They just wanted us to check the oil level in tires. So why would it say to replace this stuff? How would I deduce that that's what they wanted just from their statement without actually looking at anything? I'd agree that yes, their tires are crap. They're pretty worn down. They're very, very bald. I don't think I have a tool to actually test. So yeah, I'd look at this and say, hey, your tires need to be replaced, but we're just going to treat this as if I was working on the car and they said, hey, I need the oil levels checked. The oil level, and I need the what else did he say? I needed the see, this is where I normally have a clipboard and I write down everything the customer told me. I'm just gonna write down everything they said and then I can deduce from there, which I guess I kind of did in this game. So that's inventory. set oil level and check the oil level and tires. Okay. Oh, so they did want the tires. Okay. So they wanted us to check the tires. All right. We're just going to ignore what it tells us to replace, and we're going to see if we can get it first try. All right, so they want oil level checked. So we're just going to put that on the lift. Let's go ahead and grab the dipstick there. Yeah, oil is very, very low. It's really freaking low. And their oil is pretty black. So at this point, just by checking the dipstick and seeing the tire condition, I mean, I know that that's what it wants us to replace, but just by going in here and seeing the tire condition is mostly bald, I wish the game actually showed that. Just by seeing the tires and the rim condition and stuff, I would then go back to the office, which wherever it would be under construction. I guess I don't have an office. This bus can be our office. Where's your office? Oh, by the bus, just past the bus. Just yeah, we'll sit in these green chairs. I'd go up to the customer and say, hey, yeah, so we did a little bit of an inspection on your car, and it looks like you have some pretty badly worn tires, and and your car needs an oil change very badly. It's very low on fluid, and I would recommend at least an oil change. You know, something to that effect. Obviously, the thing mentioned an air filter, which in this game, obviously, you can clearly see it's an oil filter. I mean, this oil filter would probably look like, it would probably look black or a dark brown all the way across. Being an open air filter, it'd just be covered in dirt. So it looked pretty old. So yeah, and you know, while the car is sitting here, we're going to. Do I have a battery charger? I think you can get a battery charger in this game. I just don't know if I have it yet. Let's see. Tools. Here we go. Okay, yeah, battery charger. We don't have a battery charger yet. Oh, it costs money. Okay, we won't spend our money yet. Alright. Okay. If you ever hear it skip, it's me pausing to, you know, leave for a minute. Or cutting out that I left. Anyway. Whatever. Okay. Another good trick, if you don't have a tire tester, for real life, if you don't have a tire tester to test the depth of the tread, there's actually a really good trick if you have a penny. So what you do is you take a penny and you stick it in one of the grooves of the tire. And if you can see the top of, I think it's Lincoln's head, the top of Lincoln's head on the penny, then you know you need tires, which is less than 32 seconds of an inch or something like that. Whatever. All I know is just to stick the damn penny in there upside down where the person is, where the Lincoln is upside down, and if you can see the top of his head, you need tires. Nowadays, they actually have wear bars on the tire. They're called wear bars. It's an easier indicator. It's actually, I don't know if this game would show it, but normally it'd be like in between here and maybe here and here. You would see these little bars, right? If these bars match, if they level with the tread or come close to leveling with the tread, you need new tires as well. That's a easier indicator. A lot, tires nowadays have those. Even on older vehicles, you get newer tires, newer styles, and whatnot. You are low on windshield fluid, windshield washer fluid, but that's not a concern of ours. Brake fluid, if I seen this, very, very low. It's very, very low, and it's very, very dirty. Yeah, let's just take that off. No, I want to... I thought I saw the tool, drain tool. Right, drain the fluid. I wish I had one of these. Be nice, yeah. But what I do is I just pull that fluid out. Not all the way, just until it gets to the very bottom of the reservoir. And then just go ahead and okay. Can I take the cap back off again, please? There we go. Just wasn't clicking right. So dot 3, most cars are dot 3 fluid. That's probably about the fill line there. This game doesn't have a fill line, which annoys the crap out of me. And most cars are going to have a square. They're going to have a square reservoir or a rectangle reservoir rather than a circle one. But it's whatever. This is a Cadillac, so who knows? Okay. So yeah, at this point, that's where I'd let the customer know about their tires, about the status of the oil. Would they like an oil change? And I'm going to guess by this oil filter. They want us to replace the fluid and replace the filter. Obviously, you do both. Never drain the fluid and replace the fluid without changing the filter as well. Please don't do that. That is not good. Otherwise, because there's about a quart of oil in most cars, there's about a quart of oil still inside that filter, that's old fluid that's just circulating, and that just kind of negates the oil change entirely, in my opinion. It really does. Okay, so let's start with the oil change first, and since I'm judging by the game, they want us to replace the tires. I'm just going to assume that, yeah, we talked to the customer and they said, hey, this is how the conversation would mostly go. I didn't know my tires were worn so bad. Are you sure they're that bad? Yeah, they're pretty bad. Your tires are bald, sir. It's not safe to be driving on bald tires. Oh, yeah, just go ahead and replace those. How much are they going to cost? Oh, they cost us. Yeah, sure. I can afford that. Okay. Basically, if you're in the mechanics field, don't be the asshole to just replace those parts without talking to the customer first. Unless it was agreed on in your first conversation. If you find something wrong, like let's say that this exhaust has a big old holes in the exhausts, right? And the customer did not complain about large noises. They didn't complain about rattling. They didn't even talk about the exhaust at all. And you call them up and you say, hey, you got a massive hole in your exhaust. You could get a ticket for that in most states, for being a loud vehicle, city ordinance, and all that, or city emissions, especially in an old vehicle like this. This one's pretty old. I would say this is early 80s, maybe. Yeah, early 80s, early to late 80s, I would say. Judging by the taillights and the headlight design. This was late 80s design here. The rectangles, a lot of vehicles started going with this. But yeah, just go, hey, you got some holes in your mufflers, and tell them, oh, this is the law, stuff like that. Do you want me to replace them? They tell me yes or no, and since, obviously, no, okay, we're not going to bother with it. Alright, so let's go ahead and get the oil change started. This game will go a little bit faster once I've explained everything, and you can kind of get how I think, anyway. Yeah, so now we're going to use the equipment. There wasn't much fluid in that. So yeah, this little drain bolt here, most vehicles have a drain bolt in the oil pan. You just take the bolt out, drain the fluid into the appropriate thing. You don't have to have this set up to do an oil change. You can do an oil change at your house. All you need is go up to your local parts store, get the right amount of fluid that you need to replace your oil in your car, and get the appropriate oil filter, and then come back with a drain pan. Yeah, probably pick that up at the local parts store as well. Walmart also sells them. Just take the oil pan, slide it underneath the car, underneath that bolt. Take that bolt out with the appropriate sized ratchet or ratchet wrench, whichever. Loosen up that bolt, lefty, turning it to counterclockwise is left, loose. Turning it clockwise is right, tight. Lefty or righty tighty, lefty loosey. Just remember that. That kind of stuff. Yep, you just take that bolt out and drain the fluid until it's completely drained. It's just kind of dripping at that point. You'll probably need an oil filter tool, which is just basically a tightening ring to go around your oil filter and twist it off, twist the new one back on, or twist the new one on, put your bolt back in, tighten it up. Try not to hulk it too much. And then make sure that bolt is tight, and then put your fresh fluid in there. Make sure you keep checking the dipstick for a level as you're filling, as well as once you're completely full, I would start the car for about 30 seconds to a minute. Once the vehicle started, count to 30 seconds or to a minute or so, and then check the fluid again, because that will fill the oil filter. So yeah, now that most of the time, we'll just do it like as if we were doing it in real life. So yeah, this would normally stay here. I've drained the fluid. I'm now going to take off the oil filter, which will obviously drip more fluid and whatnot. Okay. So in our inventory, we've got an oil filter V8. Let's go over to our computer. Most of the time, most workshops are going to have these oil filters in stock, the common ones. This is the tuning shop, car parts. They wouldn't order it, or if they were ordering it, they would order it and there would be a parts shop close by that could either deliver it or they could go pick it up themselves. This was the normal V8, which I don't... I'm guessing that's just this game's way of having different oil filters. Most cars, an oil filter between a V8 and an overhead valve V8 or a OHV. There probably isn't going to be much difference. It's all part numbers. You get the right one for your car. That's all I'm going to say. All right, so we got an oil filter. Go ahead, part mount. Oh, I'm glad they show you the ghost for the part mount. It'd be hard to put that back on. It'd be a little bit of a pain. All right, move equipment, put back. So, like I said, we are playing in expert mode because, we are a real car mechanic and whatnot. So now if we check our dipstick, completely empty because we have not put fluid in it. So yep, I'm going to put fluid in it. And we'll do this as if we were doing it in real life. Okay. Let's go ahead and check it. I would like to get it all the way to the max line, please, just in case this car has an oil leak. I would like their oil to be as full as possible, which that's, if you're paying attention, I'll actually show you. If you're paying attention in this game, this is not real life, but you see that little, how it's like kind of gushing out. That's the indicator that says, hey, this dipstick's full. So, do not do that in real life, please. Always put a few quarts in, check the level, put a few more quarts in, check the level, until you get used to, if you don't know how to change oil, until you get used to changing oil. Why did the camera do that? Okay, so we told him about the oil filter, or about the oil filter, about the air filter, and he wants us to go ahead and change the air filter. Outside of what the customer states specifically what they want replaced or what they want us to look at, you can always inspect outside of what they wanted to inspect, as long as you're not charging them buku bucks to inspect more than what they wanted. But at least around the area that you're working. So we're just doing standard maintenance, changing oil, filling the fluids, that kind of stuff, which we will be doing. That's what I do personally. If they want their fluids, like if they wanted an oil change, I'm going to tell them, okay, well, an oil change is also going to include filling of fluids, like your power steering. If any of those are low, I'm going to fill them. Don't worry, it don't cost but $2 or $3 to fill this, that, or the other. You know, it's not expensive. I'm just going to keep. I don't want you coming back and saying, hey, you didn't check my power steering fluid and my power steering pump blew up because you didn't check the level. So we're just gonna go ahead and do that. But while we were filling the oil, we noticed that your oil filter, or your air filter, I keep saying oil, but your air filter was extremely clogged or damaged, and that's not good on your engine. Do you want us to replace it? They said yes, so we will be replacing it. It is a round air filter, 2 carbureted, or dual carburation, whatever. Use the computer, please. Just type in air filter, air filter. There's the dual carbureted. We just want one, please. I always replace the parts. Air filters are not repairable, honestly. I mean, maybe. If the air filter's not too bad, you just drive on dirt roads all the time. You can, blow it out with some compressed air, and it'll be fine. Something I have been told, though, by many people, older mechanics and stuff like that, is a dirty air filter actually cleans your air better than a clean air filter does, because it blocks most of the airflow because it's dirty. Okay, and we're not going to worry about anything else. Yes, it's rusty and nasty and dirty, but we're not going to worry about that. We'll go ahead and fill his washer fluid for him. There we go. Nice and full. We already filled the power steering. We already filled the brake fluid. Coolant. What else? Alright, fuel pump. Ooh. Okay, if the fuel pump's bad, they would have brought the car to us saying, hey, the car doesn't run. Let's go ahead and put it. On these car lifts, yes, it depends on the car, but most of the time you can open the doors. Can we open the door? No, it will not let us open the door. Entrance A. Okay, fine. We'll just put it outside. So yeah, let's just say that they didn't know their car's fuel filter was bad. Can we start? Exhaust is very loud. It's also missing quite a bit. Yeah, it's missing quite a bit as well. Okay. Well, we let it run, filled up our oil filter. Let's go ahead and leave the car. Alright. Let's go ahead and move the car back into car lift to A. Sure. In this situation, I would just let the car down and pull the car forward so I can open the doors. I wouldn't put it all the way outside. Alright, so we are missing quite a bit, which could be why they want us to replace the fuel pump. Normally I'd have a tester for this. I would have a fuel pressure gauge, and I'd put it somewhere along the fuel line, the incoming line, before the engine but after the fuel pump, because even this car would have this car would have a manual fuel pump, so I would have a special set up to where I could, because it's carbureted, have it set up to where I could measure the incoming fuel to each of those carburetors and see what the fuel pressure is. I would disconnect it from the fuel pump itself and go, yep, that's low pressure. So, and the fuel pump would be normally along the engine, right on this spot here. They actually included this, which I'm wondering why they didn't have manual fuel pumps. Manual fuel pumps were before electronic ones. The manual ones ran on the engine somewhere usually. And some of the early electronic fuel pumps were like up here on the fenders or, in places like that. But since this game, I guess they didn't want too many variations. They decided every car in this game has an electronic fuel pump, which is annoying to me, because this car would not have an electronic fuel pump. It would have an old manual one up on the engine, probably here where that plate is. More than likely. Unless they did a conversion. Some people do that too to the older vehicles. They'll do a conversion for electronic fuel pump because electronic fuel pumps were made way more efficient. Okay, so we've taken the fuel pump out. We used our fuel pressure gauge. We'll just say we used it and deduced that the pump was low pressure. And since it's electronic, you wouldn't be able to fix it. You would just have to replace it, and most of the time it'd just be a little fuel pump. This fuel pump here, in the bottom canister little piece here, there'd be a little tiny pump that you could replace. They wouldn't be this whole unit right here. Most fuel pumps don't even cost this much. They cost like $300-400 for the whole entire. This is an assembly. Oh yeah, here's the old fuel pumps too. This is an old fuel pump style. Why is it only inline 6? I do not like that. But yep, let's go ahead and get us a fuel pump because this is a video game. These older cars should have had those as well. Developers, if you're watching, probably not, unfortunately. I'm not that popular. These cars would have, these older vehicles, I would say 90 and earlier, if you want to make it easy for yourselves. 90 and earlier would be manual fuel pumps. Or let's just say 80s. Mid to early 80s fuel pump, manual fuel pump. Okay. Alright. So we've got the fuel pump. Okay, so now they want the tires replaced. We're just going to ignore the brakes, and I'm going to show you how I would check those. Since we're going to take the tires off and we're going to be replacing them, let's go ahead and take our tires off. Also, I hate this part of the game too. This is a Cadillac. This is an American car. American cars, they would have lug studs and lug nuts, not lug bolts. I know you're from a different company, but oh, we put some WD-40 on there. I forgot about that. Yeah, I know you're from a different country, but yeah, most American cars, I think most vehicles, even some of the non-American cars, have lug nuts. I don't think I've ever worked on a car that's had lug bolts before. I know they exist. It just, come on, it's a mechanic simulator. If you're gonna pride yourselves on a simulator, you gotta be accurate. Also, if you're working on a car with tires and stuff, and you're taking the tires off, always look inside the driver door or in the repair manual, or not the repair manual, the owner's manual. And make sure that the car's tires aren't different sizes. Some cars have different size tires on the front and the back. Most cars are, the same all the way around. All four tires are the same size. That even if they are all the same size, always put your tires nearby where you took them off if you're going to be taking off more than one. So you don't get them mixed up, because most suspensions are perfectly lined. Those tires, when they're driving along the road, they wear. And unless you're doing a tire rotation, you want those tires back on exactly where they came off. Okay. So I don't know if this game is going to show it. Probably not. Can we get in there? Okay, so this brake pad is good, even though more than likely the game says it's bad. If you're taking the tire off and you can look at the brakes, this little flat surface in here that kind of doesn't match the other bit of this. This right here would be a good indicator if you need brakes. You can see, unless the caliper's frozen, usually the front brake pad will give you a good indicator on whether the brakes are good or not. Oh, as well as the wear pattern. If you see massive grooves like this one has, more than likely the brake pads are worn really badly. And you're probably going to need to get the discs turned or get new ones, that kind of stuff. So we kind of identified that, hey, this one might have some grooves in it. They wouldn't look like this unless it hadn't been driven in a long time. This is a daily driver. It would not look like this. Can we? Oh. Is there bolts back here? Duh. Never said I was a good mechanic. Okay, let's take the brakes off here. Let's inspect them. Okay, they were bad, according to the game, even though they didn't look bad to me. They just look old. That's all. I don't think we don't have a machine to turn discs, but this car does look like it was sitting a while. If the brake discs look like this, I would turn them so that it didn't cause excessive wear on the brake pads. Also, a car like this being mid to or early to mid 80s looking like, it would probably be discs all the way around. It wouldn't have, but some of these cars did have disc brakes. It really did depend back then. Disc brakes were more of a luxury item. Probably Cadillac did have. I wouldn't doubt it if Cadillac had disc brakes on the front. Because that's where most of the stopping power is, and once they developed disc brakes, they started putting them on the front because most of the weight of the vehicle's in the front of the car, or at the front of the car, so That's where most of the braking power needs to be, and that's why when you hit the brakes on your car, even today, if you hit the brakes on your car really hard, to where you don't quite lock the tires up, but you're stopping really fast, the car does a nosedive. It's because the front brakes have more braking power than the rears, because that's where all the weight is, and that's why that does that. Okay, let's take off these. We're going to inspect these because that's the only way to do that in this game, so the models themselves don't change other than looking rusty. Also, drum brakes aren't that easy. Drum brakes have a bunch of springs everywhere, and if you're going to just be inspecting them and looking at them and they don't look like they need replaced, don't touch them. They're a pain in the ass. Okay, so brake discs are good. Front brake pads are bad. This is another thing that annoys me about this game. Brake calipers. Don't take the brake caliper cylinders. They're going to be inside this big round thing on the back. That's where this is housed here. Do not take this out of the caliper unless you're rebuilding the caliper. Do not slide these out. Do not try to take them out of the vehicle, or of the calipers. Do not try to take them out if you're doing brakes. That's not how brake jobs are done. Now, if the caliper is frozen, or it's not floating correctly, it's not working correctly, yes. You do take this cylinder out because this cylinder is not working properly. And it's not applying even pressure across both brake discs, or both brake pads. But yeah, conventionally, unless the caliper needs to be rebuilt, you do not take this brake caliper cylinder out. That's what annoys me about this game, why you would do that, why they're having you do that. It annoys the crap out of me. So, alright, so we know it needs 2 sets of brake pads again. Always, if you're doing brake jobs are mostly easy. I wouldn't recommend doing it unless you know what you're doing, or unless you have an idea of what you're doing. Otherwise, I'd leave it up to the professionals at your local shop. Go to mechanics you trust. Yeah, so we know that the brake pads, it wants us to replace the brake pads. It says they're bad, so brake pads, we need 2 of those. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and replace the brake pads. Again, if you are doing a brake job, go to your local vehicle parts store and have them get you the right brake pads so that you get the right ones for your car, because again, every car is different. Even if 2 cars, you could have, let's say you have 2 Chevy Impalas, one's a 2008, one's a 2010, there might be a difference in brake pads between those 2 years. I don't think there is, but as an example, always go to your local parts store and get the exact stuff for your car. Make sure you know what the car is. Like, well, my car is a 2010 Chevy Impala. And they're gonna ask you that, so make sure you know. The owner's manual will tell you sometimes the inside of the driver's door. On the driver's door, there'll be a sticker that'll tell you what the car is, the year, manufacturer, make and model, tire size, all that stuff. So make sure you know what that is. If you're not sure, and you can get the car to the parts store, they might be able to help you out that way. Okay, so we're good there. We're gonna put the brake. We're gonna put these back together because they don't need to be apart. Okay, so since we're replacing the tires, let's go over to our tire machine. Um, Obviously, this is the tire balancer, and um, this is the I just call it the tire machine. So, yep. What you would normally do is there'd be a tool. I don't think they show it here at all. I don't think it's like a screwdriver, and you take off the little cap on the tire where you normally put air in, if you know what I'm talking about. You'll take it's called a valve core tool, and you screw out the valve core, let all the air out of the tire, uh, and you see this little thing here on the side. Normally, let's see, it is probably this one here, this lever. You push it with your foot. So once all the air is out of the tire, you put the tire up against this little padding, and you pull this thing over until it's right at where the rim and the rubber meet. And you put that on the rubber's side of the rim. That's right where the tire seats and seals. And you push this thing down, and this thing pulls itself in and pushes the tire and unseals the tire from the rim itself. And you do that, you keep rotating the tire and keep doing that until the tire is fully unseated. And then you flip the tire halfway around and do the back side the same way. And then once the tire is unseated fully from both sides of the rim, then you put the rim up here. And you push this button here, as you can see indicated. And these little things right here where my cursor is, they'll be inwards. You put the rim up here, you click that with your foot, and then these things slide out and they lock the rim in place. And if the rim is too small for this, then you would click this button, these things go all the way out, and then you can see they got little lips on them. You can also do it that way too. And it will hold on to the rim for you. And then you take this little tool, this little part of the machine, you slide it outwards, and then this thing sits on the rim right here. It's just on the rubber side of the rim, so it just kind of glides along the rim. And then I don't know if they got the bar. No, they don't have the bar around here. And then you take your bar on the rubber and you lean it up against this. You pull it. You basically pull the rubber up and over the rim, and then you hit. It's probably this button here, one of these two. You hit this. This thing rotates and separates the rubber from the rim, and you do that twice. Once for the front side, once for the back side of the rim. So I can actually show you that kind of. So yeah, yep, that's kind of what it is, just without the bar. And then you would do this twice because you want to separate the other side on top or from that rim as well. You can take the whole tire off. I know it's taking a long time to do anything, but I'm just kind of explaining the process for those who don't know. Kind of how it's done. I swear I'll get faster. I just want to kind of explain some things. Hopefully people watch this first episode. We'll just go until I get bored of this game, I think. Probably 2 hours or so. Because I'm not doing things very quickly. That's why it takes forever, because some idiot mechanic's making YouTube videos. That's why it takes so long for your car to get worked on. Alright. So normally, I would open the door. I'd probably have all this information before I started, but normally, if I didn't know the tire size, right inside the door panel, it'll tell you the tire sizes. But luckily, this game tells you the tire sizes. So we're looking for a 215, 75, R15. So this R number, this is the rim size. and then the triple number is the width of the tire, and the 75 here, this is the tallness, or the sidewall, essentially, and the R, obviously. So we got rims that are 15-inch, and this is in diameter, so yeah. So obviously, the smaller these numbers are, the smaller the tire is. So 215s, they're not too wide. That's about the standard, I would say. Most cars are probably about a 220, maybe 220, 230. Not very wide at all. They're really not that wide. Do these tires have a tire size on them? So they're B class. B class on. Oh, they do have a size. So it's a 245/35R 19-inch rim. Damn, that's a big ass rim. Oh, that one's wore off. I like that. That's what happens sometimes. 245/35. Okay, so A class. They're very good on gas mileage. They're very loud, though, as you can see here. Some companies will put how loud their tires are on the highway. So they're 72 decibels. I've never seen that specific metric, but I've seen that, yeah, our tires are loud or our tires are super quiet. They're very good, resistant to weather, so yeah, very good, very good. Okay. So, as well, since this is a customer car and not my car, I'm going to put the exact tires that are supposed to be on this car, which I'm going to guess by the size of the tire, that's what's on there. That's what's supposed to be on there. So there's just standard tires, nothing special. I would tell them that their tires are worn, and they would tell me if they want a specific brand. They would let me know. They want a specific brand of tire, and if I can get that specific brand. But there's only one brand, standard tire. So yeah, we're gonna go back here. We're gonna go to the tire shop. So I want standard tires, and I can never remember numbers. 215/75, 15. 215/75, 15. Access that. Standard tire. We want 4 of them. 215, 75, 15. $75, pretty standard, I would say. I believe we wanted 4 of them, right? 215, 75, 15s. Okay. In this game, always put how many tires you're going to get first before you put in the rest of the information. Because if you change the tires number or the tire any kind of size, like the rim size first, and then you go and change the other stuff, it'll fuck it all up. So yeah, these tires were pretty crap. So yep, you'll go ahead and mount these on the original rims. Rims that are this badly rusted, I would probably recommend getting a new set, or maybe if they wanted me to MacGyver paint them, make them look a little better. Just ask them. It never hurts to ask. Honestly, rims don't bother me if the customer's okay with the rims being all rusty like they are. Then I'm fine with it too. Also, yes, this car would more likely have steel wheels, which would be rusty. That's another thing I don't agree with in this game. I get that that's how they indicate bad parts, is by being rusty, but the newer cars have aluminum rims. Aluminum doesn't rust. At least to my knowledge, I've never had an aluminum rim rust. Aluminum alloy is what they are. Very light. The old steel wheels are pretty freaking heavy. Yep. We gotta go ahead. Yep, we got them all installed. So now we go to take them over to the balancer. Most of the time, there is a cone that slides on this shaft here. Before you put this thing on, there's a cone that fits there, and then that cone goes inside the center of the rim to keep the rim in the exact center of this shaft. So normally there'd be a bunch of cones on these pegs here. There'd be like a tiny cone, a medium-sized cone, and a large cone. Just for general sizes, you don't have to have like a million different sizes of cones. Just as long as the cone helps the rim center, and then, yep, you put the tire on, and then you put this on here on the shaft, and this spins on and tightens down, and it spins the opposite direction to the machine. So if the machine spins toward us, this thing is going to spin this way if the machine spins this way. So, yeah, that's how those work exactly. Sometimes they'll have a little release lever on the inside of one of these little spokes. That way you can slide it on, and then you can tighten, and then you can finish tightening it down. So you don't have to spin it on all the way. Yep. So normally at this point, I'd go ahead and turn my machine on, put my tire on there, and then normally you'd have some settings to set. You'd pull a little thing out here that would measure the inside of the rim, the back side of the rim. It'd measure the inside diameter, or it'd be done by a laser, or you'd have a little thing that kind of looks like a crab claw, I guess, kind of. And then you can measure the rim's width that way, and then input all the settings of the rim size. So you'd have width, you'd have inside diameter, and either outside diameter or the outer edges. You just basically want to measure the rim, so then the machine knows how big the rim is and how big the tire is, essentially. And then, yep, it goes ahead and spins. This is kind of a really weird... I guess we're putting on the weights here. So, yep, and then once this is done spinning, we'd press this brake right here and hold it down, and then kind of release it, and then spin it until the lights, there'd be lights on here, that line up exactly with an arrow that's right here. It would tell you exactly where the rim needs to be rotated to have where you've got to put your weights at the very top of the rim. And it would do that for the inside and the outside. So there'd be two different bars that you got to line up. And then, yeah, these right here, these weights are sticky weights, which would go on aluminum rims. You wouldn't put the old-fashioned weights that you got to bang on with a hammer on aluminum alloy. You'd put these sticky weights. And each of these are about, what are they in grams? Gosh, I can't remember. It's been so long since I've actually done this stuff. Yeah, you just count how many weights you need. The machine would tell you how many weights you need or what the weight is that you need to match. And then you only want to do this once for the inside and the outside. And then once you've done that, you go ahead and test her again. Balance the tire again on the machine. And then if it zeroes out on both the inside of the rim and the outside of the rim, the front side and the back side, then you know you've done good. If it comes back with different numbers that aren't zeroed, then you got to take your weights off and try again. Always do it once. Never put like a million weights. I've seen some mechanics do that, and it's just an absolute mess, and the tire's still not balanced with like 3 weights on this side and 5 weights on this side, all in different places. Yeah. Okay. So now that we've explained that, we can just take this. Oh, we already installed all of our tires. That's fine. Balance. Take. Balance. Take. Now let's. Okay, let's go put these on the car, and since we're putting on all brand new tires, doesn't matter. I should also mention too that oh, oops, mode. Now we part out. Okay, I should also mention too that when noting that the tires are bad and they need to be replaced, I would note the tire wear pattern on the tires to then know if this tire needs to, or if this vehicle needs to be the suspension needs to be aligned. As well. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of talking and not a lot of doing in this game. I will say that. But I don't believe we have a balance or a alignment machine, so we won't worry about it at all. It is just fine. Since we don't have an alignment machine, we can't align it. And if we didn't in real life, I would then recommend to the customer that, depending on how the tires were worn, I would say, hey, yeah, I was able to put brand new tires on your car, but your car needs to be aligned, man. I would take it to somebody that actually has an alignment machine. Apologies that I don't. I'm still getting off the ground and haven't been able to afford an alignment machine just yet. So, apologies for that. Okay. Looks like we're all good. Other tasks. See, the customer didn't tell me they wanted this done. If the fluid is black, I would have done it, but it didn't look bad to me. It was a little dark, but normally, unless it was an extraneous circumstance or they specifically requested it, I would not do this. Fully drained. It did not look bad to me. It still looked red, so... Oop, that's not how we do that. Like, it was low, but it wasn't, you know, bad. And then always fill to the max line with everything. That way, it doesn't come back on you that you didn't fill it up properly. Okay. Since we got all this done, yep, still good on oil. Always keep my oil up to date. All right. Let's move the car to entrance A. Since we're all done with everything, this is what we replaced. The rims aren't that bad. They're a little rusty, but nothing too bad. Okay. So yep, we've done an oil change. We've done the tires. Let's test out the new fuel pump now. Still sounds like shit. Still sounds like it's missing. Yeah, it's missing pretty bad. I would recommend spark plugs and wires. This car needs a tune-up. Oop. No, stop that. Stop that. Exit car. Okay, I've been playing too much the long drive, and I was trying to exit that way. Anyway. Okay. And then normally close the door. Close this door. Normal mode. Close. There we go. As well as if this had been a real mechanic shop, I'd probably have access to a power washer, which I don't think we do. I believe it's over here somewhere. Maybe over here, or it's like over here somewhere, or over here maybe, or whatever. But yeah, normally I would power wash this car, since this car does look like it's been sitting a while. I would just clean the customer's car. I wouldn't charge him for it. That's just um, customer. That's just politeness. Just wash their car. I would not work on a car like this being that dirty unless I absolutely had to. Not that I don't mind getting dirty. It's just I would rather wash their car than work. If I don't have to work and get super dirty, I'm not going to do it, but I will if I have to. Not against it. Okay. Yep, looks like we got everything they wanted done. Um, um, and we probably warned them about all their other problems, like the car needed to be tuned up. Customer didn't want to do that, so we're just going to go ahead and send the car on its way. Hooray! How did we enter and exit doors? Oh, click. That's right. Okay. Let's go ahead and take another order. I do like the story orders in this game. Gives you a bit of a story. Pretty nice. Mini Cooper. So we've got a 2015 Mini Cooper S. Never worked on one of these. I have in this game, but I have not in real life. Hi, my name is Joanna. I was referred here by my neighbor, the guy we just worked on his car. The only other customer we've had. He's a car dealer. Oof. I hear that your repair shop has been up and running since quite recently. But you look like a promising mechanic, I think, yeah. It is almost annual service time. My buddy doesn't seem to have any problems, but I'll leave that for you to decide. Okay, so we get to do a little bit of maintenance, routine maintenance, as well as maybe even do a little bit of diagnosing to make sure he doesn't have any problems. Please change the oil filters, fill the missing fluids. I don't have time, or I haven't had time for that recently. John mentioned that there was a tapping in the camshaft. Unless they're a mechanic, they probably don't know what the heck a camshaft is. They probably looked it up on Google and thought maybe, oh, well, the Google video showed that that's what this problem is, and it seems just like that. So that's what the problem is. Googling is fine, um, but again, leave it up to the mechanic. If you don't know. I don't know what he meant. Perhaps it'll make more sense to you. Please take care of my car. Have a good day. So wait a minute. He's a car dealer. My buddy doesn't seem to have any problems, but I'll leave that for you to decide. But it says John mentioned there was a tapping in the camshaft. So, are you guys sharing the car? Is that what's going on? But then it says please take care of my car. So maybe it's a shared car, roommates or something. Change oil. Blah blah blah. Okay. Take the order, please. Let's work on a Mini Cooper. Green. I'm not going to say anything. Okay. So, first off, if you're working at a mechanic shop, here's a little tip. I've never had to test this tip out, or I've never had to do this myself. I don't know where I'm going with that. Okay. Anyway, but here's a little tip. Anyway. Can we just... Oh, what? Okay. Open up the hood. Okay. Check the power steering fluid. Power steering fluid's a bit low, but nothing too bad. We've got coolant. We've got... it's a little bit low on the brake fluid, but nothing major. This is what you want to look out for. Okay, oil is low. Note that before you do anything with this car. Note that the oil is low. I mean, they did want an oil change, but note that the oil is low. And that you cannot move the car I would not start the car under this condition. This is a very, very low oil situation. The hash marks, that's where you want it. Anywhere between the min and max. If it's below the minimum line, it's going to need oil in it before I even try to work on it. Some people, this is horrible of people, but there are some people out there that will take their junk cars. They'll know a little, maybe they'll know minimum mechanics, maybe they won't. Maybe they'll be told by their buddy, drain all the oil out of your engine before you take it to the mechanic shop. Or when you, before you drop it off. Don't mention anything about knocking or any noises, anything like that. Let them deal with it, and then they will blow your engine up, and then you can replace the engine. Or they can replace the engine for free. Or they might buy you a new used car. Something like that. You can sue them. Stuff like this. Always check. I'm not saying don't ever trust a customer, but there are some people out there that are like that. So, if this was real life, let's go ahead and come on. Let's put some oil in there. They said it was knocking. That might have been done, due to the low oil issue, but I'm not going to drive their engine or run their engine like that. So, let's go ahead and get in. See if we hear any knocking. Okay, inline 4 turbocharged. Not hearing any knocking. I'm trying to treat this as if it was real life. I know the game doesn't work this way, but it sounds pretty good to me, honestly. Nothing I can deduce right away. Normally, I'd probably take it out for a test drive, see what the engine power is. Which actually, I think we can do that. Let's go ahead and was it left click? Yeah. Wait. How do we? Is it the map? Yeah. Test track. Take the Mini Cooper out. Brake fluid is missing. Okay. I didn't think the brake fluid was that low. The brake fluid's not that low. I don't know. Whatever. Also, I don't know why they decided their camera wasn't going to be. Let's just make it happy. Okay. Power steering fluid missing. What? Power steering fluid, not brake fluid. Jeez. I can't read. I'm not illiterate. I'm not. What? How is it? It's between the mid and max. It would have been fine, game. Jeez. Look at this. Look. That's all I wanted. Jeez. Annoying. Okay. Test track. Drive. Normally, you just drive it down the road. Get the engine warmed up. See if you hear any knocking or what they're talking about. Yeah, let's give the car a little bit of test drive though, since we got a test track. Crash the customer's car. That's how you do that. I'm not good on driving on keyboard, by the way. I absolutely suck. Suspension test. Not too bad. And brake test, of course. Yeah, most mechanic shops probably wouldn't have a racetrack. outside the shop to test cars with. If they did, it'd be a race car mechanic shop. Most of the time, they would just have the suspension tester in a dyno, or they would just take it down the road, drive it in traffic. Okay, I mean, the engine seemed smooth to me, just by the way it was sounding. It sounded okay to me. Didn't hear any knocking. Brake disc, the rubber bushings. Okay, so now we know the brakes are pretty bad. At least the brake discs are, and the rubber bushings. Normally, the rubber bushings, you would just look at it and you'd go, yeah, those rubber bushings are bad. Yeah, that's just more of a visual thing. But the game told us exactly what we need to do. That's probably why he thought that the knocking from the camshaft, which the camshaft is, let's see, camshafts are up here on this engine. I think there's two of them, I believe. There's one on this end and one on this end. One of them, this is an inline 4 engine, by the way. One of them runs the intake valves and one of them runs the exhaust valves, which is just fine. Oh, I thought a belt was missing there for a minute. I was like, wait, what? How did we drive? Okay, so we know what we need to do there. That's probably why you thought it was knocking. He was driving down the road and there was a knocking noise because the bushings are bad. There's just metal on metal, so it sounds like a knock. He probably looked it up on Google. Knock from front of car, Mini Cooper S. And the Google immediately thought he meant engine knock and put him down that rabbit hole. Anyway. So, yep, we know it's an inline 4. Turbo. Inline 4 turboed engine. Sounds cool, but doesn't really have belt tensioner, brake discs, brake pads. Jeez. Spark plugs. The engines seemed great. Camshaft. How is that? I mean, okay, game. Whatever. I'm not gonna say anything because that's, to me, that's ridiculous. If this game really wants me to believe that the camshaft is bad in this car, you need to make it more obvious. You need to make that car make a ton of knocking sounds as it's running. Even if it's just idling, that thing's going to be... It's going to be sitting there knocking. And since it's cam gear, that's drivetrain. Or not drivetrain, that's timing. And the engine's going to sound poorly a little bit. And it's going to be knocking really quickly. If you want me to believe that's cam gear or camshaft. Whatever. I'm not going to buy into it. We know the brakes are bad. Let's start with them. Okay. We'll probably go to 2 hours. We'll probably do this job and then call it quits for now. And whatnot. Oh, come on, mouse. There we go. Oh, by the way, I already know where the bolts are, but... So we'll take them off. Take them off. Take them off. Also, if you're going to do a brake job on your car, don't just replace one set of brake pads. At least replace the set. So if you're going to do front, do both fronts. If you're going to do rear, do both rears. And even better is if you're going to do any brake job at all, do all 4 brake pads all at once. Do both front and rear if you can afford to do so. Honestly, that's what I would do. If I can afford to do it, I would do it. All 4 brake pads at once. But if you can only afford to do one set, like the fronts, obviously you have more braking power up front, so the fronts are they're gonna wear faster. Just do the fronts then. Do both sides. Because if this side is completely worn down and they're really bad, and this side's not too bad, this one's gonna wear down pretty quickly. It's close to this point. They also said something about brake discs, so took out those. Again, when I take the tires off, I'm going to put them exactly where they came off the car. So I take this tire off, if it's on a lift, and then put it directly on this corner underneath the car. Then I know that tire came off exactly in that spot. It depends on which ones are bad for this car. Brakes wise, as whether I decide to replace just one set or both sets. Which the fronts looked pretty well worn, so these backs look pretty well worn, so I might replace all 4 brake pads. Of course, I would talk to the customer about it, tell them exactly, or give them an estimate on how much it's going to cost. Oh yeah, so when I was talking before, this right here, looking at this part of the brake pads, this game's going to say they're worn, but even though they don't look worn to me, they just look rusty and dirty. Yeah, you would have, if these were truly bad, you would have very little material. This is the braking material on the brake pad. You'd have very little. You'd probably have like as wide as that little white dot is, just all the way along here. You'd probably have very little there. And yeah, always replace both front, or this one and this one. Do not just replace the fronts. Replace them all that you can. Okay, these brake discs look pretty good. They're in pretty good shape, just according to the game, not being rusty. We don't have a brake a brake disc machine, so we're just going to replace them. We're going to let the customer know, hey, your brake discs, and the brake pads and the brake discs are worn. The brake discs are worn pretty badly. It's going to cause premature damage to your brake pads if we don't do something about them brake discs. Would you want us to replace them? This is what it's going to cost. And then let them decide. And if they don't want to replace them, and they're really, really bad, and they're going to do a lot of damage to those brand new brake pads, most shops would have them sign a waiver, because brakes are very important to the operation of a car being stopped, or getting to the stop position. And having bad brakes extends out the braking distance, or just gets rid of the braking distance entirely. The car's not able to stop. Have them sign basically essentially a waiver saying they are aware of the vehicle's condition in accordance with either brakes or tires, stuff like that, and they refused service. Have them sign that so that if they get into a car crash later relating to their brakes and they try to sue the shop for not replacing the brakes when they were bad, the shop can then go, hey, yeah, they signed this knowing about the repairs that needed to be done. They refused service, and then they ended up in that wreck. We're not responsible because they have signed this paper here, which has happened in the past. That's why shops started doing that. Okay. So brakes. Also, let me look at my inventory. Yeah. The brake pads are... The game may not want me to replace all 4, but I'm going to replace all 4 because they're all pretty bad. Let's replace all 4. Also the brake discs. The brake disc ventilated, so those are the fronts. They're both really bad. Also, we got a case. I forgot about those. Okay. Brake disc ventilated. Get 2 of those. Let's go ahead and put those back on the car. Come on. Not a fan of this camera movement here. Whatever. There's one side. Part mount. Brake disc. Brake pad. Having mechanic knowledge does go a long way in this game, by the way. I'm glad to have that little bit of background music as well. Again, hope it's not copyrighted. I would not like to get in trouble, please. Okay, we got that one. That one. There we go. Also, if you're using an air gun or an air impact, which is what that sound is here when putting on tires, and they're making that sound, putting those putting lug nuts or lug bolts, whatever, in, and it's making this specific noise. I'll let you know when it starts. It's after this. But I do want to stress this as well. Okay. So this noise right here. You hear that? And it's making that noise. That noise right there means you're cross-threading it, more than likely, or the threads either on the nut or the lug stud are really messed up. Do not try to tighten that down. If it's making that kind of noise, it's struggling to turn it. More than likely it's going to go and then and then not. Yeah, you're either cross-threading it or you're making the problem worse. By the way, yeah, it would not go. It would go. I know I'm criticizing every little thing, but it's a mechanic's duty. Okay, what else do we got? So belt tensioner, we probably would have figured that out. I guess we're just gonna say we heard a knock from the camshaft. We're gonna take a look. Also the rubber bushings. I would probably I probably would have had a list on which rubber bushings I needed to replace. I'm not sure if it's going to be front or rear. More than likely front though, because they heard it coming from the engine bay. I'm just going to go with that. Serpentine belt and spark plugs. If you're going to replace spark plugs, I would do spark plugs and wires. And if you can't afford to do both, do all your spark plugs or all your wires. Do not do one spark plug, one wire, one spark plug. not do a few here and there. And plus, spark plugs usually only come in a set, depending on the place you go or buy your car. Judging by this game and the way this game works, this right here, this ignition coil, that's what these are. You take these off to get to the spark plugs. Spark plugs would not rust like this if they were bad. They would just be rusty if they were old, but they would still work. The only way to tell if they're bad is by taking them out of the car, like I'm going to do now. Yeah, they would be rusty being old. They probably wouldn't be rusty being in this setup. But yeah, they would just be, if they're gonna rust, they're gonna rust. Oh, spark plugs. The only way to tell if they're bad is by looking at where the spark plug goes into the engine, where the little electrode is, the bottom part of it, the center, and depending on its color, if it's been beaten up or by the piston, or if it's covered in oil or antifreeze, or if it's white like it's been running really hot, or if I'm just going to call it an electrode, a little electrode in the center, if it's just completely gone, that kind of stuff. You can tell how an engine is running by spark plugs. A spark plug can tell you a lot. But not. I don't think they show it on here. But you can see it. You can see part of it, the little bottom piece. But yeah, since the game says that these two spark plugs are bad, which we would know by just visual inspection, I would replace all 4 of these. Same with the ignition coil. If one ignition coil is bad, more than likely the rest of the ignition coils are not far behind. I'm going to replace all 4 of those as well, if it wants me to replace them. Let's see what the customer says. Car status, of course. Ignition coil, yep. So they want us to replace the ignition coil, the bad one. I'm going to tell them, well, if I'm going to replace one ignition coil, you might as well replace them all, or you're going to be back here and you're going to have to pay even more for me to replace the next one that goes bad in, let's say, anywhere between tomorrow to next week to next month. If one goes bad, more than likely the rest of them are not far behind. So we're going to replace all 4, as well as replace all 4 ignition all 4 spark plugs. So it's just better to do it that way. Wait, SPA? Where's the spark plugs? Am I doing this wrong? Plug? Am I stupid? This is the main part shop. Oh, that's right. This one has an electronics shop that's separate. Okay, I remember now. SPA. Yep, there's the spark plugs. So 4, and obviously, as well, always get the spark plugs that are specifically for your car. And ignition coils, and same with the ignition coils. Every car is different. Even if they're 2 exactly the same cars, just a year difference, they could be different. So always go with that. Okay, so we've got the spark plugs and things, but it wants us to look at and inspect the camshaft. So that's going to be underneath this little cover here. So let's go ahead and inspect that. This is what you would call a dual overhead cam, because you've got one set of camshafts running the exhaust which is this one. So this cam right here, this rusty one, looking one, more than likely they're not going to be rusty, but this one's running exhaust because here's the exhaust manifold. So these valves are going to go to the exhaust. This is the intake manifold right here, which is where the throttle body is. And these ones, so this cam right here is running the intake valves. And the valves, this cam here, turns in time with the rest of the engine, opens up the valves to, you can actually see these little lobes. See how it's misshaped like this? It's not because it's bad, it's because this little part comes down, pushes on this rocker here, and then pulls this, or pushes this valve open. There's the valve there, there's the rocker, so it would push on this side. This engine really doesn't make sense to me. What's that? Yeah, that's not. This is a pivot point on your rocker. So this right here would more than likely hit this side and push this down. You wouldn't have a rocker here because there's no reason for a rocker to be here. Most of these types of engines that have dual overhead cam that push valves, they push this down. This is a pivot point on a rocker arm, which makes no sense to me. There's the valve there. There's the fuel injectors. There's the pistons. You can see the pistons. So you have intake valves, and along here is exhaust valves. I may not understand this engine entirely, but this looks weird to me. Anyway, so more likely I'd look at this, and what would probably be wrong with this, if there was something wrong with it, like knocking, would be underneath these caps here is bearings. That means the bearings are bad, and I would just replace the bearings for this cam and this cam all at the same time. More than likely the cam wouldn't be bad unless something got inside of here and broke one of these lobes off entirely or damaged it heavily to where it couldn't open the valves properly. That'd be the only time we'd want to replace a cam. Or if these bearings are so bad that they've just chewed up the bearing chewed up the surface that the bearings are running on. So we got to take off this cover here, which is 4 bolts on this, 5 bolts, sorry. Okay. Now, normally there'd be timing marks to align these two cams together with the rest of the engine, so you want to be careful with that. We're going to leave that alone for now. Let's go over to this side. And I think we're probably going to have to take this cover off if I know this game. Yeah, there's a timing belt in here, so yeah, and this is the pain in the ass part. This actually is as much pain in the ass in the game as it is in real life. In order to take this timing cover off here, you have to take off this harmonic balancer, which is annoying. There would be a tensioner here, but this is not showing a tensioner, which annoys me. This would be a tensioner, not just a pulley. It'd be a tensioner to tighten up that serpentine belt. So let's go ahead and take this off. Yep, and normally you'd have to have a puller to pull that off, because this is the crank right here, this shiny part, the crankshaft which moves the pistons. So yep, we're going to take off this, and yes, this cover is how you would access the timing belt or timing chain, which times the engine between where's the rest of the bolts? I know there's another bolt, because the cover hasn't come off. Oh, when you do the top, which that wasn't connected to anything, very weird. Okay, so this is a timing belt, and this timing belt also doubles as running the water pump, which is also annoying. I would not want to work on this car if I had to do a water pump. So here's a tensioner here. In real life, this tensioner, you would not take this tensioner off like this. Okay, you would not take this bolt out and take the whole tensioner off the car. Let's go ahead and remount that real quick. No, what you would normally do is, you see this little square here? It actually shows this, which is funny. This little square here. Not all the tensioners have them, but a lot of tensioners have this little square and it matches your ratchet. So you take your socket off of your ratchet and you fit that into that square, and then you can rotate this whole pulley. Now this pulley being against the belt, you can see that it rotates this way. There's a spring, there's a coil spring in here, and you pull this, and that pulls against this spring, and then you can take this belt like off this pulley here or off this pulley. Either one will work. Okay. You would not take the whole damn tensioner off there unless it was either in the way of something else or the tensioner was bad. Then you would take the tensioner off. In this case, you would take the tensioner off because the tensioner is bad. It's not holding tension against the belt like it should. So we need to take the belt off. I think it said the belt was bad too. Normally you'd see cracks in the flat surface of it or in the ribbed surface. There would be cracks in it, and then you'd know. That's not just on the timing belt either. That's also on the normal serpentine belt on the outside of the car, stuff like that. This pulley would not be rusted in here because more than likely there'd be oil in here, and it would be a timing chain. Just based on the design, I'd say more than likely it was a timing chain. Or there wouldn't be oil in here. There'd be something in here just to lubricate certain stuff. But yeah, this pulley right here, most pulleys don't rust unless it hasn't been ran in years. Then that surface, that shiny surface on the pulley would rust because it's bare metal. But yeah, pulleys wouldn't rust like this. The bearings could seize up and this pulley could not work at all. Which would have ruined the belt, so that makes sense. It would not rust. Okay. So before we took that timing belt off, we would have aligned, there would have been a timing mark on that timing gear that was there. There would be a timing mark to line it up with something. More likely there'd be either an arrow on here or something to line it up so that you kept this crankshaft down here. You kept the crankshaft and the cam in time, and then this side keeps this cam in time with this cam, and then that timing belt keeps this cam in time with the crank so that it doesn't open the valves at the wrong time and smash the valves into the pistons. So I know that's a long-winded explanation, but yeah, you would have this all aligned. Again, don't do it unless you know what you're doing. This is a very precise. We're going to take that off, whatever. This is a very precise process, replacing a cam or changing bearings and stuff. Do not do it unless you know specifically what you're doing, and or still good to have, but or you have a book with you to tell you exactly the procedure on how to do it. Or you, like I said, or you're a professional that knows what you're doing, because you mess this process up anywhere along the way, and you've basically ruined your engine at some point, and that could cost you thousands. And in a lot of cases could cost you way more than the car's worth. So let's just not touch that unless you know what you're doing. Don't mess with the internals. Okay. So at this point I would have called down to the place and told them, hey, I got a bad camshaft here. can you turn it and repair it, basically. And let's just say in this case, they said, nope, the grooves in the bearing surfaces are too bad, or there's a lobe broken or extremely damaged lobe. You need to replace the whole camshaft. I would say, okay, what camshaft do I need? Write down the part number, go to call up the parts store and order it. More than likely, I wouldn't have one of those in stock. Okay, so we're gonna add this to our shopping list. So we're gonna say, yep, the timing belt had cracks in it. Is extremely worn, so we're gonna go ahead and replace that. We're gonna say this one had missing teeth right here for the timing belt. This is the cam gear that the timing belt would normally run on. I was just gonna say it had missing teeth, or it was warped, or something like that. And this belt tensioner didn't have any tension, so extremely worn. As well as this idler roller was seized up. So, and we wouldn't replace the bearings. It's just cheaper just to replace that specific one. All right. Part store. Tab to open the shopping list. Search. Let's grab one of them. Oh, that's actually pretty cool. I didn't realize you can hit search. Oh, you can just click on it. Okay. I'm okay with that. Thought you had to look at your shopping list and then go type it in. Last time I played this. Nice. Clear out the shopping list. Alright. Also, we're going to look at car status. I believe we got everything. Also, I forgot to do it, which would have costed me dearly in a real-life situation. Not really, but it would have made a mess. We forgot to drain the oil. I would have drained the oil and possibly the coolant, depending on how deep I was going to go into the engine. I'd possibly drain both. That was the oil we put in earlier so we could test drive it. Oil filter. Let's go take that oil filter off there. If you're going to do an oil change, do an oil filter, always. Okay. Let's go and put that back down. Put our engine back together. Put our brand new camshaft in there. Brand new camshaft. I would have also replaced the bearings. That is a if you're replacing the cam, that is a must to replace the bearings. In my opinion, I'm going to say it's an opinion. I'm not going to say it's a absolutely you must or you're going to die type of situation, but it's an absolutely must if you want to avoid future problems that could be caused by worn bearings. You'd have to go through this process again. So yep, our cams we have not turned our cams. Our cams are all online. We've got them all lined up. We've got our, I've aligned both of these together. Got our brand new cam gear without missing teeth. Put that back together. Also, that makes no sense. There'd be a washer holding that. It wouldn't just go in between there like that. That'd be weird. Put on our non-seized pulley. Brand new belt. Brand new timing belt. Brand new tensioner. I did not buy a belt tensioner. Actually, I believe. Part map. I believe you can. Is it tab? No, space. No, X. That's what it was. Okay. Alrighty. Port mount. Put back on our cover. Also, let's exit that for a minute. All right. So the way this is set up, you would have this in place first, because you can see those little spots here. This is where the threads are for those covers. So we're going to go ahead and put this on first, as if that's the way it would, because that's the way the cover is designed. You can just look at that and say, yep, that's where the threads are for these side covers here, even though we could put them on first. Just threading into the nothing. Can I can't see because the camera is weird. We're gonna put our harmonic balancer back on. Put our serpentine belt back on, loosely, because we got our tensioner would normally be here. We're just going to ignore that doesn't have a tensioner, even though it's supposed to. Yeah, let's go ahead and put this cover back on. Obviously, plug in our electricals. Looks like there's an electrical plug-in there. I actually wish they included some of that. And they include a little bit, but I would like more. Alright. Brand new spark plugs. And brand new ignition coils. Spark packs, whatever you want to call them. It's the same, essentially the same. Okay. We still haven't figured out those rubber bushings, but that is okay. We'll figure that out in time. Okay, we're going to go ahead and raise this back up. Let's get ourselves an oil filter. Which, just because it has the blue one, but it's for an inline 4, so normally, again, we'd have the part numbers for that. Okay, oil filter, and there we go. Okay. Now that we got the oil filter back on the car, we've got the car back, it's back together. Let's go ahead and fill her up with oil. And again, watch the bottom of the funnel here. The game tells you when the car is exactly full. And then just hit it. Just let go of your mouse and hit escape. Just like that. Also, I believe they said something about they wanted the power steering fluid. Yeah, they want all the fluids changed. All of them? Literally? Power steering, coolant. Okay. And again, this new of a car would not have green. Don't put green in the newer cars. Always check your owner's manual what coolant to put in. But yeah, this new of a car would not have green. Maybe. It is from a different country, but the newer cars generally run Dex-Cool, not regular coolant. Which is an orange. Dex-Cool is an orange. Drain. So we're just going to drain. I don't know why they want us to drain it. Just draining it out of here as well. Doesn't do much good. The reservoir is only for adding coolant when the coolant system's low. If you were going to actually drain it, you would drain it from the radiator here by pulling the hoses off or draining it via what's called the petcock. I know it sounds funny, but that's what it's called. It's a little... we might take a look here and see if... car of all of its fluids. Your fluids are now mine. Let's see if this radiator actually has one. Yep, it's gonna be hot. Maybe? And that one looks a bit big for a Petcock. Normally it's really small. Radiator hose would go here and up there. This one doesn't have one. But yeah, essentially something like this, just not this big. You would turn this and it would drain all the fluid out of the radiator. And then you would, if you're going to replace the radiator, you take both the hoses off, stuff like that. Take the bottom radiator hose off, by the way, the bottom one here. When the car is cool, if the car is cooled down, you can do this. Do not do it when it's hot. Unless you like burnt forearms. Because that shit, I've been burnt several times by many cars. Not because I didn't know what I was doing, just because I was in a hurry, in a rush. I was just like, the car seems cool enough. Pull off the radiator cap, get singed by fluid because it's pressurized. Also, I filled that way too full. I can't see what I'm doing. The max is actually this, where this little lip is for these things. I'm glad that they included fluids, but yeah, I wish they would have had orange for the newer cars and this old 50-50 green. Oh, my mouse doesn't want to hold it. Okay, that's full. Don't fill them up all the way like I am. That's not how the real cars work. They always have a minimum maximum level on just about everything, so. Okay, that one, just like this. Not all power steering reservoirs look the same. This game is, it's like a repair manual from college, from mechanics college. When you go to school, most of the repair manuals that they have you read are general repair. That's what this game is general repair. Okay. So yeah, all that's left, I believe, is just the rubber bushings that they wanted replaced. So let's go take a look. Yeah, do not look at this game as oh, this one teaches you how to work on a car. I know how to work on my cars now. This is more just general knowledge game. That one's pretty bad. I wish they would have, instead of being like dirty, or looking like this, I wish they would have been torn, like missing pieces of it, because that's what rubber bushings do. We're going to replace all the front ones, since those two rear ones are bad. If one rubber bushing goes bad on something like this, which is the engine cradle that holds the engine in, if one of these bushings go bad, it's going to put more weight on the other bushings and it's going to wear them down. And as more and more get damaged, the quicker they go. So we're going to go ahead and replace all 4 of those. Because there was 4 of them up front. And this game has a very if you have, say, you have 2 bad bushings and you have 4 brand new ones to replace them with, and you put the 2 new ones in where let's say you only had 2 new ones, and you had 4 of them, but you only had 2 bad ones. If you did not put those 2 brand new ones in the 2 bad spots where the bad ones came out of, the game will not count it. So make sure you're very precise in this game. Bish, that's not how you spell it. Plus, what are we wishing for? We're just gonna replace all 4. They don't cost that much, so if you're replacing a bunch of rubber bushings and you buy all the brand new ones, they don't cost all that much. So And you get some of your money back for replace or from selling the ones that weren't too bad off. So, that's not bad. Just save yourself some headache in this game and just replace the rubber, but all of them in an area. Okay, car status. All right, so there's 2 rubber bushings that are like still bad. That one looks okay. That one looks okay. I'm just checking the suspension arms. The lower suspension arms. Okay, so those ones are good. Is it in the rears? Oh, here we go. Yeah, here we go. Okay. Alright, also, I would have, if you're going to replace something like this type of suspension, and you're going to you have to take these out, because I don't know how these suspensions exactly work. I would have there's a special lift that supports suspensions. You can use a transmission lift or some kind of lift to hold the suspension in place while you're taking parts off, so things don't become misaligned too badly. Anyway, because this arm right here holds the suspension attached to the body or to the frame of the car, to the frame. So yeah, you would want to support that to keep it in place. Also, general rule on if you're working on suspension parts like springs, struts, things like that, arms, bushings, any kind of stuff like that, you always want to take the weight off the suspension. You always want to lift the car up in the air at least a little bit, even if it's just most of the weight, not all of it. Just with a normal like floor jack. You always want to take as much of the weight off the suspension as you possibly can when working on suspension parts. It's just save yourself so much time and headache, and possibly even save your life too, depending on what you're working on. Suspension can kill. Anyway, I think we're done with this car, right? Yep, we're done with this car, so finish order. There we go. We got a bonus to XP. I believe we leveled up. Let's see, what can we buy? So I want to unlock tools so that we can diagnose quicker. Only have 5,000. Okay, let's get ourselves a multimeter. Let's get ourselves a fuel pressure gauge. The OBD2 scanner. OBD2, I believe. That's what I think that's what it looks like in this game. So let's grab one of them. Let's get a tire tread gauge, sure. Compression tester, always good to have. Battery charger, sure. Alright, we got ourselves a battery charger. I don't want to spend all of that. What's this? Window tint toolkit? What? Last time I played, there was no window tint toolkits. Engine tools. As an engine stand. Oh, that adds the engine stand and crane to your garage. Dang it! I was hoping that it would add an engine run stand, so that when you built a brand new engine, or you rebuilt an engine, you could put it on the stand and run it like an engine dyno. That would have been cool. Okay, a lot of this cost tons of money. Does this cost? Oh, these cost points. Okay. What do we want? Cuts things. We don't really do that. 5% discount on the parts you buy. That might help. Stronger increased mounting and unmounting speed. I'm not really bothered by increased screwing speed. Sure. Let's buy that one. Ability to fix parts from group of 1. Increased chance to instant repair. No thanks. Move faster. We really don't need that either. Let's buy the discount. Since we're low on cash, that'll help with cash later. Screw speed. So we've got a 10% increase in speed, which is nice. Okay. Have we spent all our points? Yes, we have. All right. Let's go ahead and take another job, and then we're going to call it. Okay. Take order. All right. Did we get a car wash? I didn't think we did. No. Okay. We do have a battery charger though. Move car lifter A. But oh yeah, this thing's gonna flash until we look at it. Yeah. Charge battery. I don't have them. Oh, also I keep forgetting. Sell. Oh wait. Can we mass sell? Sell parts. 100? Okay. We don't have a parts warehouse either, so I'm not going to open those crates yet. Because I believe sometimes you get parts from those. And since we don't have a parts warehouse in order to store the parts, we're not going to open those. And we're not doing barn finds or anything like that yet. We don't really have any money. Okay. Well, we're going to leave it like this for now. Thanks for watching, and thanks for, if you stuck around this long through all my ramblings. Apologies for that, as well as congratulations. Thanks for sticking around. If you want to see more of this content, let me know. I do enjoy working on cars. I do enjoy playing this game. It does have its quirks that don't make any sense to me, but it's still really fun to play. So, yeah. Let me know if you enjoyed this, and if you want it to be 1 hour, 2 hours longer. I probably won't do any longer than 2. 2 hours just for this beginning episode, just kind of get things established, get things rolling. We'll start going faster and faster as we progress through the game as well. So it won't be this slow the entire way. But yeah, again, that's going to be it for this time on Car Mechanics Sim 2021. Thanks for watching, and we'll work on this car next time. But until then, goodbye.